Hello and welcome. This is Japan, and this will be the draft day special of the women's side of where we think they're going to go. This is kind of just one of those fun videos because, we don't necessarily know. You can kind of base it off of a little bit of talent, maybe some shifting around for people and their tag teams to kind of make some new noise. But yeah, so the big thing about what they said is that NXT will have some sort of drafting ability. I don't know exactly what that means. I don't think we're seeing anybody crazy like a big superstar get drafted down there, but we could see somebody that's in that like refresh area. But let's go start with our champion Bailey. I think Bailey stays on SmackDown. I think the World Heavyweight title and you know it will stay on Raw. I think for especially if Rio is there, it will stay there. We don't know who's going to win it at this point, so it could change a lot of things. But at the moment, I think Bailey definitely stays on SmackDown. I think Asuka and Kairi Sane also both stay on SmackDown. I think the Damage Control story and most of the Damage Control members, which we can see Io and Dakota Kai, I think all stay SmackDown. I think it fits really well for the story. Obviously speaking, I think with having these five women, that if all of a sudden one was on Raw, then they would just be thrown to Raw and all that. But I think that's kind of how they want to keep it, and I wouldn't be surprised, especially with her having the WWE Championship. I think, not spoiling too much on the men's side of things when I do it, but I think Cody goes to SmackDown too, so it would make sense to kind of keep those kind of similar. Next up is Roxana Perez. I don't believe she gets drafted. She might lose the championship because she has her match, I think, Tuesday. So there's a possibility she does lose it. If she loses it, she gets drafted. If she wins, I think she holds on for a while. This is hard. I'm gonna go Roxana Perez to Raw. I don't know. I feel like she loses the title and they send her to Raw, but she could use another year. Possibly under there. Rizzo gonna stay on NXT. The Witches are an interesting one. I think they bring them to Raw. I think that would be a good starting tag team to keep there. I think they kind of were setting up that they might face Damage Control at some point, but they never did that. So I think this is the time to give them a fresh start. Put them on Raw. Grace going in here. BFAB would go with the rest of where the Pride goes. I hadn't really thought about that because I haven't done the men's side of things. I think the Pride go to. I think they go to Raw. So maybe no. They're the baby faces on SmackDown. I'm gonna go with SmackDown. Next up, Becky Lynch. I think Becky Lynch more than likely might have the World Heavyweight title, so she's going to stay on Raw. Bianca, I think, goes to SmackDown and stays there with the rest of her compadres, which will be Jade and Naomi. I think they kind of sit this solid, and then they change people around them, but I think this is a pretty solid thing. Blair Davenport stays in NXT. I forget your name, but you're going to stay in NXT. Candice LeRae, I think, is the one that you keep in Raw with Indy Hartwell because they are the heel faction. I don't see Indy at the moment, but when I see her, I'll throw her up there. I think kind of fits that they won't move her too much. Charlotte Flair, I'm calling it right now. I think she goes to Raw. I think with her possibly being with Becky and with eventually Rhea Ripley, I think she gets drafted to Raw when she comes back. Chelsea Green is kind of the one that I think might be. I don't know if they don't keep her as a tag team. I feel that she is the one that goes down to NXT. I think they draft her down there. I don't think either GM wants her. I think she ends up going down to NXT and hopefully has some really good matches down there. I think it might be a kind of a blessing in disguise to help her character and to help something that she's already been pretty over up in the main roster. At least I think that's my feeling. It's a kind of a weird dark horse pick, but I just kind of like it because it's. I think it would work out pretty well. Cora Jade being injured, I think she stays. Palmer stays. Alexa Lopez currently with El Phasmo, so I see them possibly moving that group into Raw. So I'll put her up in Raw for now. I think that's how I had it. I didn't done that video. I probably should have done the men first. I think Fallon stays. Gigi Dolan, I think, could go either way. I'm gonna say that she gets drafted to Raw. Um, doesn't necessarily. I'm not super confident on it, but I think it could happen. We'll put Indy with Lorray. I think they stay up there. Ivy Nile stays with the Creed brothers. I think the Creed brothers will switch to SmackDown. I guessing I'm kind of fitting on some of this because I haven't really put too much in it. More NXT people. I don't see moving any of these people up anytime soon. Katana Chance. I think they bring Katana and Kaden over to Raw to try to rebuild this division of women. I think with having the witches with them, I think it would be perfect. I think Jordan stays. I think most of these women stay because I think they're still trying to get that development talent. Next up, we got Liv Morgan. Depending on if she's the world heavyweight title, I think champion. I think that's kind of where she flies. I say she goes and stays on Raw for the time being. Will Levi stays. I think Valkyria had a chance to get drafted, so I'm gonna think she's gonna get drafted, and I think it's gonna be to Raw. I think they're gonna kind of keep it, simple. I think Maxine goes with Ivy Nile over there to SmackDown because I think Alpha Academy and the Creed brothers both go over there. I don't even think she's still on the main roster. I haven't heard anything about her. So I'm going to just kind of put her on NXT for now. I don't know where she is at. Mia Yim. Mia Yim could also be somebody that could be drafted down to NXT. I don't know if it necessarily would help her out as much. I'm going to probably just put her safe bet to stay on SmackDown. Natalia could also be somebody that gets drafted down. I think they bring over Natalia also to SmackDown. I think that women's division will start getting bigger and better. This is one of the bigger changes. I think Nia Jax, if she's not the women's champion, should switch over to SmackDown. I think she could really burst through a lot of these people to get stopped possibly by Jade, even having some good matches with Jade and having some of the stronger women. I think that would be perfect for Nia Jax. Next up is Nikki Cross. I think she could go either way. Bringing her down to NXT, I don't think it would necessarily be out of the question either, but I don't think it happens. I think they move her over to Raw. She might even be on Raw now. That's how bad. I don't really know. Nikita Lyons, I think, stays on SmackDown. I think she still needs a little bit of time. Piper Niven, I think she's a big monster. I think they leave her on, or they bring her to SmackDown so she can go against Nia Jax and stuff. Raquel Rodriguez, I don't know if she's coming back. If she does, I think they should put her on Raw. Monday Night Mommy, obviously, for Rhea Ripley, so she will be on Raw whenever she gets drafted and comes back. I think Scarlett will be with Final Testament. I think they will be on SmackDown, so we'll... No, wait, yeah. Is that we had it? Yeah, BFAB's over there, so yeah, I was trying to make sure that's where we were thinking the rest of them are. Shayna Baszler, I think, could be go either way, but I'm going with Raw on her. I think she kind of fits some of the what they're trying over here. I think that would be a good idea, and I think her tag team partner technically is still Zoe Stark, so I think Stark will stay over. Shotzi being injured at the moment, I think she comes back and goes on to SmackDown again. Soul stays. DeVille is hurt, so I'm not sure she would change anything. I'm going to put her on SmackDown for the current time because I don't think, being kind of like a former GM, I don't know if like Adam Pearce would even take her, More NXT people. Tegan Knox, I think, is another one that goes drafted down to NXT. I think she'll have a better chance to see if she can stay healthy, get built back up, and I think that's where they put her. Thea Hale stays. Tiffany Stratton, being in the middle of her fight with everybody else, I think stays on SmackDown. They had her signed, so like just to have her traded a couple months later does not seem like anything. I think they bring Ivar to... I'm thinking they'll keep Ivar on Raw, so we'll put Valhalla up there. Again, I don't know why you're still here. I'll just put you in NXT. Put her down there in NXT. And Zelina Vega, I think because they switched over to Raw with the LWO, she goes to Raw. That's what I would say on the draft. I try to kind of keep this a little bit simpler, a little bit faster, because there's so many people, and there's really not a lot of, like, craziness that I can, put, because it's not like you actually, draft people. If we were actually drafting from each one, it could be interesting, and maybe we'll do a GM mode. Now that this is the perfect time with the draft about to start. So maybe we'll do that. And if you guys are like that for 2K, just tell me, because I like 2K. I like to play a lot of 2K, so it could be something fun. But until this next time, I am Japan. Bye, guys.